John here with Freedom Pharma, where we challenge big food, big pharma, and big healthcare. And today is October 29th, 1 week from the biggest election probably the world has ever seen. And I say that because there's a lot of people watching this election. As a matter of fact, it's interesting because, you know, Donald Trump, who some people love, some people hate, if nothing else, he's brought a lot of people into the political spectrum. A lot of people are all of a sudden paying attention to politics in the United States, and because of that, surprising enough, around the world. As a matter of fact, I think this election is dictating how things are going to go. Really, are we going to be a globalist society, or are we going to be a nationalist society? And, you know, Americans, I think, want to be America first. I think Europeans in each individual country have the same thought. Matter of fact, you're seeing elections in those countries where they're bringing in more what you would call, I guess, populist politicians, which I think is a good thing, because basically what they're saying is we want the individual to now be back in charge of government. And from our perspective, why we call this the biggest election is we're in the healthcare industry. We've been trying for the last 12 years to bring a treatment to market against a bacterial infection called C. difficile. And under the present situation with big pharma, big food, and big healthcare, a lot of bureaucracy that really doesn't want a cure for a bacterial infection like C. diff. Matter of fact, we pivoted and we're going to come up with a preventive for C. diff, and even that they don't really want, because it's not in the best interest of their financial interests. It's obviously in the best interest of the patients. And so when you think about this election, Donald Trump is trying to empower people again to be in charge of their government. And the good thing about what he's done, he's got a lot of people excited in politics all of a sudden, which for a long time, and I think the bureaucracies love this, Americans have been completely complacent when it comes to politics. As a matter of fact, usually a very low turnout to actually voting. And I think that's going to change big time come next Tuesday, which is a good thing, because let's face it, the more people vote, the more you've got representative democracy. So anyway, it's a big deal coming up next week. The world's watching, we're watching. Why we're watching is because Trump has put together a team that, instead of just saying make America great again, which has always been his theme right back from 2016, is he's got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in there, and now they're also making America healthy again, which obviously plays into our best interests, because we would like to make patients healthy. That's our whole goal, irrespective of what it's going to benefit us on financially. And that plays very well into the general populist idea of making people actually run their government again. So in other words, the individuals will be in charge of their government, they will be in charge of their own health, instead of being dictated to by big food, big pharma, and big healthcare. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll be reporting back in a week, and you know, one little thing that I thought I'd bring up. You know, so all of a sudden, healthcare has been made an issue into this election, at least by Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy, and obviously the Republican Party. Funny enough, how you don't hear anything from the Democrat Party when it comes to health. And why is that? Well, because health is good for the individual, not so good for big pharma, big food, and big healthcare. They do better when you're not healthy, and that isn't good. You know, the world does better when people are dictating for themselves how things should work. In other words, we want policies that are good for us, and that means, okay, if we're thinking that things like open borders are not good, then they're not good, okay? If we're thinking that, you know, high inflation is not good, then it's not good. We don't need to have bureaucracies tell us that these things are good. And so I like the idea of the individual now taking power and getting excited about the election. And there's one thing you can say, Donald Trump, if nothing else, on both sides, has gotten people excited about this election, which is a great thing. So if nothing else, you're probably going to get a better turnout of voters than you'll ever see before, which I think is great, because that's what democracy is about. And if that happens, and we do get the change, we're going to see a change in big pharma, big food, and big healthcare at the same time, because all of a sudden, profit won't be the only motivation. In other words, people's health should be the number one thing that's important. And if you'd like to support our channel, and as a matter of fact, please subscribe and all the rest of the things you do, you can check out gutfix.com, G-U-T-F-Y-X. That is something that we feel will be a great natural way of getting and staying healthy. So anyway, big deal coming up next Tuesday. Americans, get out and vote. You don't realize that your vote is influencing a lot of people around the world. And as a matter of fact, I think if you would ask most individuals who are pulling for somebody in the U.S. election around the world, they're really pulling for Donald Trump, because they recognize that what goes on in the United States from a point of view of freedom reflects all around the world. And so anyway, make sure you vote, if nothing else, because you're not just voting for those elections, you're voting for the whole world. So check out Gut Fix, stay healthy, and gut fix yourself.